Welcome to the I Got Fired podcast for people who've been fired or afraid that they might be. I'm the host, Tom Spiggle, and I am thrilled today to be joined by Lisa Rangel. Rangel? We did this before and I
It's
already
all
screwed it
good.
up.
Wrangle. It's okay. We've
Lisa
done a lot
Rangel.
worse. It's really fine.
With Spiggle, I get a lot of interesting
I'm
introductions
sure
with
you do too, yeah.
Spiggle. And Lisa's with Chameleon Resumes team, and they hold a unique qualification. They are the only executive resume writing team, LinkedIn profile development, and job search consultancy hired by LinkedIn for 8 years to help premium members win interviews faster and negotiate the maximum compensation. The team has been recognized by Forbes as a top 100 career website and quoted in prominent media outlets as an expert resource on how to ensure your job is successful. Pretty impressive. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much for asking me. I'm very excited to be here.
Great. So, one of the things that I have been learning about your industry is that you guys, like a lot of people come to us sometimes. They're like, "Oh, you're a lawyer. You must be able to do all this stuff." And I'm like, "No, we only do this piece. Like, if you need something, you need that. If you need a
Right.
divorce, go somewhere else. If you need," and I know the career services industry is similar. So, why don't you tell me like how you fit in and what the landscape looks like on the career services side?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to walk everyone through it. It's funny, like you, I get labeled as, oh, you must be able to do X. And I'm like, no, you need a lawyer for that. So, I'm glad we're talking. What we do in this sphere, essentially on this landscape, is we work with executive and senior level job seekers basically from start to finish in terms of their job search. So typically people come to us having an idea of what they want, or we can help navigate the direction a bit if they're unsure where to go. But once they have that direction, we write their marketing documents. We show them how to execute a proper job search. And it's not so you're not dependent on third party recruiters and job boards. And we help them prepare for the interview. We help them negotiate the salary. Obviously, when they need to review a contract, we refer them to someone like you. But we help them negotiate the maximization of the salary, the overall compensation package, and then helping them onboard into the job so they can start in the strongest way possible. So, most people like me, we call ourselves job landing consultants versus career coaches. Career coaches, in my opinion, typically are helping people find the direction when they're really lost or it's really nebulous which way to go. Whereas with us, they typically either have an idea or they definitely have an idea, and they need maybe some work around the definition of what that direction is. But then they need marketing documents and they need an execution plan on how to do that and how to prepare to execute that outreach plan. So that's what we do.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. So you mentioned the term marketing documents, and I think a lot of people, I mean, it makes sense, but a lot of people are looking for a job, don't think of it in terms of marketing, but that's essentially what it is, right? You're marketing yourself. Is that what you mean by
It
marketing
is
documents? Yeah.
resume, profile, cover letters, networking letters, thank you letters. It's really all an opportunity to market yourself. And people land jobs without resumes or having their profile updated all the time. So it's not something that I think is essentially required to land a job no matter what. But to use the very tired but very still applicable analogy of tools in a toolbox, it's the idea of being ready.
Hmm.
And when you approached me to be on this today about, I got fired and what do I do? What resonated with me and what really spoke to me was I did a podcast for a year in 2017 that I mentioned to you, and I called it the Pretend You're Fired Today podcast. I did it for
Right.
52 weeks and then I stopped, and it still lives in infamy at pretendyourfiredtoday.com. It's pretty evergreen, but I think it's a timeless message, that you really need to be prepared. And it's not being negative. It's not assuming the doom and gloom, but it's being even prepared for opportunity. I mean, we're talking about getting fired, but it's also about being ready for when opportunity comes your way. You're not scrambling to do it, in some half-assed way, and then you're not
Yeah.
showing up the right way for an awesome job that comes your way even. So it's about
Yeah.
being ready.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's an excellent point. And, so clearly for our folks, I'm now a big believer in like you said, like having all the documents ready, like even if you don't think you're going to be fired, even, you're doing well at your
Right.
job, like, we know there's no very few places, if anywhere, that you've got like a guaranteed job. Like back in the day, like where you spent your whole career somewhere, people move around, jobs change, banks fail, right? I
Thanks.
guess, you know.
It's even being internally promoted. I've
Sure.
been hired by larger organizations to come in and do resume presentations to help their internal employees do their applications internally better for posting for promotions or internal moves. So it's even being able to do internal moves. You don't necessarily have to be leaving or be getting
Right.
fired.
Right.
It's just simply being ready and not scrambling when that, like, somebody taps you and says, I think you're right for that promotion, you should apply. So I think that's also key. But in the context of it being marketing documents that you mentioned earlier, many of us have our reputations, we have our networks that refer us in and refer us over to someone, refer us into a company, refer them into our own companies. But eventually that reputation or that referral will end, and then you've crossed a line where that document now needs to market you because the referral conversation or the referral endorsement doesn't carry any more weight. And so when you reach outside that circle of your influence sphere, you need that document to market you, and not just simply document where you've been, but market you in conjunction, alongside the other competing candidates or resumes. And are you going to then look like the person to choose? So it's a marketing document. It needs to not just speak to where you've been, but what you can do and what's relevant and how well you did it. And that's really the key.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. So let's say that we've got somebody, perhaps one of our clients or somebody finds themselves in a situation where they haven't done that, right? But they've gotten,
Right.
Laid off, they've gotten fired, they've got, let's say they're, in a good position, they've got a couple of months severance. What would you say is job number one? What do I need to be thinking about?
I would do a list assessment, essentially. I'd write a list of, what I want, what I want to continue doing in my next job. I would make a list, especially if you're senior level. You've probably amassed a lot of achievements that you might be great to talk about at an interview or a cocktail party or a barbecue, but you never want to do again. So make a list of what you want to do, but also make a list of what you don't want to do, and start making a list of your network. Who you can reach out to, your circle, your first circle of support, essentially. And I would start whittling through simultaneously, who to speak to, and who to speak to first, and let them know about your recent situation, and and ask them, not necessarily ask them for a job, but ask them who you should be speaking to based on what you want to continue doing. And based on that other list of then what you want to continue doing and what you don't want to do, go through your LinkedIn profile and go through your resume and edit accordingly. Edit to showcase what you want to continue doing. Be clear about what you want to continue doing, and either remove or downplay what you don't want to continue doing, even if it's one of your biggest achievements. Because as long as the thing you don't want to do is front and center in your marketing collateral, you're going to continue to get calls for it. And that's the key. Is not to say that you shouldn't be proud of it, not to say that, again, that you're not going to talk about it in conversations or on interviews, but this, again, marketing collateral. So think about who your target audience is based on what you want to continue doing. What are they going to want to see on their documents that they're going to be receiving from you? And then make sure that you're speaking to your target audience in a sense of what you want to do, how well you've done it, and showcase what you want to keep doing in an achievement-like manner. And then as you start to reach out to that connections list, they're going to introduce you to other people. They're going to say you should speak to so-and-so. You're going to do more research and build upon that list as you get more rooted into the search. But I think that's a good place to start. Who can you call, and what do you want to continue doing?
Right. And kind of really lead with with what your best
A
foot,
little
with what you
chicken or
want.
the egg, what
Yeah.
comes first or second. But I'd say do them simultaneously and go with the one that speaks more to you.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point about the resumes and it being a marketing document. It's not just a laundry list of what you've done, right? Because you want to
Right.
tailor it to the person that you're, that for the position that you want. talk to me a little bit about like the difference between a resume and a LinkedIn profile. Like how do those, they obviously play off each other, but how do you think about those two
Right.
documents?
I over the years, they've become somewhat equal in its importance. You might, depending on who you talk to, they'll say LinkedIn's more important or resume's more important. I don't really have an opinion on which is more important because it really depends on the person, their industry, their profession, what they do, what their industry and profession does as a social, activity, so to speak, in a work context. But I think they're both equally important. And I'd say the main thing is they really need to be done in tandem. The resume should support message wise what's in the profile and vice versa. Sometimes they're going to look at the profile first, and when they say send me your resume after the fact, it needs to be in alignment,
Hmm.
and vice versa. Somebody discovers you via resume, and then they go to look you up on LinkedIn. Again, that should all be in tandem and support each other. As far as a difference, I mean, the resume is typically not public facing, and the profile is. Um, you can edit and target and tweak and customize your resume. You can't with your profile, right? So the key is to have a strong foundational resume. To me, gone are the days where you send, vehemently different resumes to every job because eventually they got to come back to that profile. And if, again, the messaging is in alignment, that can sometimes stop the process because if they're
Hmm.
like, well, this person doesn't know what they want, let's just go on to the next person that does, right? So I think the key is have two strong foundational documents. The resume should be, what you've done is what you've done. If you have a solid foundational resume, you really only need to change the top title, maybe reorder a couple of bullets, maybe change a few keywords. But for the most part, you've done what you've done, and you're
Hmm.
going to just change where you're doing it.
Hmm.
With a profile, you need to just make sure it's somewhat universally written for what you want to do. So for every tweak that you do make to a resume, it's still going to be in alignment with what's said in your profile. Um, the profile is typically more searchable based on the fact that it's part of a product that is offered to recruiters. That's most recruiters do use LinkedIn to find candidates. So I think you would be remiss not to be present and active on LinkedIn if you're actively looking for a job, even if it's confidential.
Hmm.
You can do that confidentially, but you still need to be findable on
Yeah.
LinkedIn unless
Yeah.
your outreach is in overdrive. So to just do with your resume. So you can sometimes put some information on a resume that isn't on a profile, but at the same time, a resume is still public. It's just not going to be outwardly public, right? So you
Yeah.
still need to abide by NDAs and things like that. But you might put some information that you would share one on one in a conversation on a resume versus it being publicly displayed on a profile. So there's typically
Yeah.
a little bit more discernment and judgment on confidentiality. I mean, confidentiality contractually should always be abided by in every document, but you just have a little bit more leeway sometimes with
Yeah.
a resume than you do a profile.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. How, if I'm entering the job market or I'm changing positions, like how do I think about job boards? What's the best way to use them? Do I use them?
Depending on the level, I think they're more successful for some job seekers versus another. Typically, I think at the minimum, everyone should use job boards as information, as research, right? From a direct source of information, as in exposition is available and I'm looking for exposition. And then from the like where smoke there's fire part, aspect of things. Like if they are hiring a lot of salespeople, then they might be in growth mode, and so they might be needing a new leader or a replacement of a leader for like chief growth officer or something like that. Where they might need more financial support if they're making more sales or so using the information in a critical thinking kind of way to then approach a particular contact at the organization saying, I see that you're doing this, it's just leading me to wonder if you've considered this and maybe we can have a conversation, and you can talk about possible openings that aren't even necessarily formulated within the company yet, or or they're not, or they're done not in a formal posting themselves. So, by showing that you're looking at it from an analytical standpoint, one, you're setting yourself apart, and two, you actually, by reaching out to somebody and having a conversation, and they see that you are a talent that maybe they should have on board that they didn't think of, they may design the job around you.
Yeah.
I've been hired 3 times that way, so I know it exists. It's certainly not the most pervasive way of getting hired, but it only happens if you're having conversations with people. It's not going to happen on a job board.
Yeah.
So I think the key is, only about like 20 to 25% of hires happen through job boards. But it's again, tool in the toolbox, right? It's a thing to do.
Yeah.
It's a tactic to do, but it shouldn't be everything that you do.
Yeah.
Nor should any one tactic. But
Yeah.
it's information at the minimum and then an opportunity at the maximum.
Yeah. I know you do a lot of work with kind of executive level folks. Are there things that are different about that kind of job search than say someone who just is, mid-career?
I mean, inherently there's things that are different at every level, in every industry, in every profession, right? But I think they all come down to some similarities in that, look at who is hiring you, where do they congregate, where do they find candidates, where do they meet people, put yourself there, and then what message do they want to see in these candidates, and how do you outshine the competing candidates around you? Sometimes people do a search and they're just like thinking in a vacuum of like, okay, how are they going to perceive me, and how can I tell them that I'm the best? And it's like, okay, it's not a vacuum kind of conversation. How do you look in terms of your competitors? How are competitors, is everyone writing a task-driven document? Well, by you writing an achievement-based document, you're going to now outshine most of the competition. If you, are going for like a director of marketing or a CFO role or a staff accountant role, like if you're speaking in quantifiable measured achievements versus like, does your resume look like a job description with somebody's name on it? Well, every staff accountant, every CFO, every director of marketing does similar tasks.
Yeah.
So if you have a task-based document, you're going to sound like everybody else. So how well do you do it? I think that's really the differentiator. We have our senior level clients refer us their, adult children and professional level colleagues, friends, and spouses. So, we're not turning people away if they're still within our sweet spot of finding a corporate role. But the main thing is like, you can find a job as a staff level, mid-level, or senior level person going to a conference, reaching out to a person, finding it on a job board and submitting. So the tactics are all somewhat similar. You just may need to sound or look a little bit different based on the level, based on the target that you're targeting. And it comes down to doing the market research and realizing this is essentially a sales process or a marketing process. And you are selling a product, that product being you, to a buyer who is a hiring manager, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about it that way, no matter what your level, no matter what you're doing, it's similar in a corporate sense. Like now, if you're looking for like government roles or
Sure.
social agency type of roles, those are very different processes. And I know some really great people who do those. Anybody wants referrals, but
Yeah.
From a corporate standpoint, I'd say more or less things are similar. It's just the nuances within each one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that that makes a lot of sense. So I read a really interesting piece that you did on LinkedIn about, older workers in the job market, and particularly, I mean, we know age discrimination exists. We all agree that's a bad, that's a bad thing. But you had some really good tips, I thought, about like how to try to blunt some of that. And let's say if you're like me, 50 plus, and you're looking for a job, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 52 here. So, I think that, clearly ageism is always wrong at any age, right? Because younger workers also experience ageism as well when they're assumed they don't know anything because they're young. I mean, that's ageism in and of itself also. But in speaking about the senior level or older job seeker, I think there's a lot that can be done with regards to our self-sabotage, right? Where we assume because we're older something isn't happening. And it doesn't mean it's not true, right? But what if it isn't, right? Like I'm just always amazed sometimes. And I put myself in this category. I'm not being critical to people when I say this, but we're always so quick sometimes to attribute a reason to something we can't control. right? Like I can control I'm 52, regardless of no matter how much dye I put in my hair, makeup I put in my face, it's workouts I do, I'm still 52, right? Like,
Right.
and somebody's going to figure that out no matter what I just, cloak on LinkedIn or on a resume. I'm going to show up somewhere,
Yeah.
online or physically, and they're going to go, all right, she's not 22. So at some point you just have to own it, right? We can't say, oh, ageism exists, I'm packing it up, I'm not getting up out of bed tomorrow, right? Or I'll just might as well get my golf membership now and just retire, right? Like we can't do that. We got to, all right, it exists. What are we going to do? Focus on what we can control, right? We cannot lead our marketing documents with over 25 years of experience, or call ourselves seasoned executives, right? Or seasoned
Right.
professionals. Like let's stick that to the French fries, right? Like let's not call ourselves that, right? We can't lead with age and then be pissed off that age is being used against us, although wrongly. But we shouldn't lead with it either, right? You know, don't go back to 1974 on your resume. Unless there is a reason why it's important for that to be on there. To list it because you're just proud of it, which again, I'm not diminishing being proud of it. It doesn't mean you won't talk about it on an interview, but this is a marketing document, right? It's not a background check information document. It's not an obituary, right?
Right.
It's a marketing document, right?
Yeah.
So when you go to the doctor, you're looking at marketing collateral. They're not going back all these years and explaining things that aren't relevant to you. They're talking about how their patients are happy, right? And smiley, glowy faces of their patients being healthy, like things like that. Same with lawyers, right? So we have to showcase what is relevant and recent to that target audience, and achievements are ageless. So lead with achievements. Don't lead with seniority.
Right. Right.
I mean, we all know people that have 25 years of experience and they're amazing, and we know people with 25 years of experience who can't work themselves out of a paper bag, right? And the same with 5 years.
Yeah, sure.
People that are amazing, and then some people are 5 years experience, and we're like, ooh, a little concerned. We're not sure where they're going to go with that. So it's not a seniority thing. It's not a young thing. Just because you're young and fresh doesn't mean you're qualified. Just because you're older doesn't mean you're wise, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wise and fresh can come at any age.
Sure.
It's really about the person. So I think the key is to lead with what you do and how well you do it. And then if it's relevant to what that hiring manager wants, most likely they're not going to care how old you are.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great advice. Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
When you lead with age, sorry, I get a little carried away.
No. It's great.
When you lead with age, people may wrongly decide not to hire you, which obviously based on age is always wrong. But when you lead with age and you don't have achievements to back it up, you're almost subliminally sending a message that you're a little bit of a blowhard and you may be hard to work with. And they don't know how well you're going to do your job, but you're certainly really rooted on how senior you are.
Right.
Not many people want to work with that kind of person.
Yeah.
And that's because you're not telling them how well you do the job.
Right.
In the end.
Right.
So lead with achievements.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. And I'm sure also, like you said, like self-sabotage, if you walk in there with the mindset, well, I went in two ways, right? Either you're a hangdog because you're like, well, I'm not 25 anymore. And, and people pick up on that, or, the alternative, I'm so senior, because a lot of times if you're 50 plus, the people who are going to be interviewed, well, maybe younger than you are, maybe by
odds are they will be, right?
Yes, odds are they may be significantly younger than you are.
Yeah.
And if you walk in there with a chip on your shoulder, talking about, well, back in the day, that's not, right? Like to your point, like you're putting it out there.
Exactly. And I always think about when we were 35. If somebody 55 came in and told us what to do, we were like, dude, get the hell out of here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So why is that going to be different with somebody who's 35 now and us being 50s in the
Right.
50s?
Right.
That is a timeless sentiment, right? Even now, with our elders, although I think we have a bit more of a respect for them as we get older because we're getting there. But, we don't want our 75-year-old, aunts, uncles, parents, telling us what to do either. We're like, yeah, we
Right.
got it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what makes us think that's going to be welcome downward, right? And I say
Yeah.
downward just in terms of age, not in terms of
Yeah.
anything else. So it's just treat people like humans,
Yeah.
regardless of their age,
Yeah.
and give them the respect they deserve. Always be on the lookout what you can learn from them. And, I give people respect until they tell me or show me I shouldn't be giving it.
Yeah.
And so, and I hope I just ask for the same thing back, right? And that to me should happen at any age.
Yeah. No, I
You
think
know?
that's all great advice. So if someone wants to work with you, what's the best, like what sort of things you do, what you not do? How would somebody go about that?
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can set up a call and explore. You can go to chameleonresumes.com, take a look at our resume samples, the services we offer, a little bit of background about my team. Everyone on my team is a former search firm or corporate recruiter or talent management leader. So we know how this works firsthand, how hiring works firsthand, and we do all of our work from that firsthand perspective, and we walk you through the whole process. Any part of it can be done individually, but we really find that most of our clients get the success when we're there with the whole process. So just reach out, lr@chameleonresumes.com, or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and you've got a great LinkedIn profile. People should take a page out of your book on that
Well,
one.
thank you.
I like your post on that. And do you offer I know you offer packages, like you'll do like kind of the soup to nuts. Do you do
Yeah.
a la carte, or is that not like if I come to you
Yeah,
and I'm
we,
like I
we will
just yeah
definitely piece out or a la carte any piece of it.
okay
And we want to make sure if you're buying a piece of it that you have the other pieces, because to
hmm
buy a piece and not have the other pieces isn't going to do anybody any good. But we absolutely do have an a la carte menu. And, I'm a big believer in this should be available and accessible to, almost everyone. So I have DIY products at joblandingacademy.com, and I do an email every day for free with advice in it. If you go to getdailycareertips.com, you can sign up and opt in for my email list. I've been doing it since 2016, an email every day.
that's fantastic. And we'll put all this stuff in the show notes too, so people
Yeah.
can reference it. So can you give me like an example, like of a success story or somebody that came to you that you know how does it work when somebody's working with you? We're talking about the doctor with the shiny happy people. Like who are
Right,
some of
right.
your shiny happy people?
So much of what we do is confidential. So the ones that I talk about
Sure.
are the ones that have given us like LinkedIn recommendations,
Yes.
just in the spirit of all of that. But I think,
And you don't have to mention names. It could just
yeah, yeah,
be,
no, no, totally,
yeah,
totally.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I'd say a common theme of success is people who really didn't think they needed this. They've been recruited, sought after, promoted their entire career, and they're just like, "Good Lord, I really shouldn't need this," because there's a little bit of that I've arrived kind of,
Right,
feeling, and now
right.
at the point where nobody's calling, it's really a interesting place in life, and they just, it's simply a business situation that needs a SWOT analysis, and you assess it, and then you come up with a marketing plan, and again, the marketing documents and the outreach, and you do it. And there's a number of the LinkedIn recommendations that I have that state that story, where it was
Yeah.
really difficult in the beginning. They were kind of like doing it begrudgingly. And, one person in particular, his name's Don. You can find him on my LinkedIn recommendations. I won't say his full name, but he makes me laugh because every time I read it, I can almost hear his gruff, like, I didn't think I needed this, but good Lord, I'm glad I did, and it's that common theme. Like when we've had some achievements under our belt, it's hard to believe we have to learn how to look for a job. But if you've never had to actively look for a job, that's actually a good problem to have. It means you've been gainfully employed for 20 years, 30 years, or easily found something, right? And if you are good at this, it means you're looking actively for a job every 3 to 4 years, so
Yeah.
at least you just need help. You just need help. I'd say, so I think that's a common theme of just get help if you need help, and
Yeah.
and resting on those laurels of not having needed it before, I
Yeah.
think can sometimes get in people's way. And so I'll think I'll leave it at that. I'm not sure
Yeah. And
if
no, that's
it's what
very
you're looking
helpful.
for as well.
Yeah, that's very helpful. And I assume I can almost guarantee that there is, often with your services, there's a return on investment, right? So I spend X, but I get 20% more salary than I was expecting because I negotiated better, I had better career marketing materials, and
Right.
then you multiply that over the rest of your working life.
Bingo.
all of a sudden what you spend on the services is like, why wouldn't you? If you got that kind of return in the stock market, the SEC be at your door because they think you were cheating.
Right.
But I assume that's right. Like you see
It's
people.
100% true, and even if you were to land something laterally, although most of our clients do get the salary increase, but sometimes it is a lateral because of different reasons that make sense and that sort of thing. But if you can land it a month earlier,
Right.
if you're making 200,000, that's a
Right.
$15,000 pay for the month that you're getting earlier. That our fees are not close to that, so
Yeah.
you're still getting an ROI by even getting paid the same amount a month earlier
Right.
than doing it on your own. I can't tell you how many times I hear, "I wish I did this sooner."
Yeah.
That's really something that I hear all the time. And not that we won't work with somebody when they do it after they've been laid off or fired, because clearly we do that all the time. But our, I want to say, I'm hesitant to say the word favorite, but favorite is maybe too strong a weird word, but it's always really awesome to work with somebody who sees the value in doing this ahead of time.
Yes.
And one of our success stories, Michelle, she's somebody who's on my LinkedIn recommendations. She's hired us twice. Once was because she was in the panic, and then she's like, "Oh my God, I need this as like a career management tool." And she's hired us again, years later after recently, just to have it ready,
Right.
and by recently I mean a couple of years ago, but just to have it ready. And I think in general, companies need to. I mean, look, we just recently had banks in the top 20 banks,
Right. Right.
federal, right?
Right.
I remember working for a company whose biggest client was Bear Stearns back in 2008, right? So, or second biggest client was Bear Stearns, and the only thing we can do is take care of ourselves, right?
Right.
Job security it's not at a company anymore. It lies within our ability to find something quickly. If you can find something that's well paying and enriching quickly, you've essentially did income continuity. And
Sure.
so, right, in our businesses, we have business continuity, we have, redundancies for when things fail. But then in our own career, we're like, "Oh, I'll just wait and see what happens." Like,
Yeah. Right.
makes no
Yeah.
sense to me. These
Yeah.
really smart people
Yeah.
that do all these other redundancies in their life
Right.
are afraid to do it or don't think they need it in their own personal company, right?
Yeah. I think it makes sense to have somebody like you or, that provides your services just on your speed dial, right? Like,
Right.
even if you never get fired, because we're all going to, most of us switch jobs multiple times in our
Right.
career. And even if it's not in a period of distress, why not put your best foot forward? And, we get people all the time, who, they're getting called down to HR for whatever reason and they're panicked, which I totally get, but, just as I think about it, like if you had all your ducks in a row or the redundancies, as you said, like, okay, going to talk to HR is scary. Maybe you're going to get put up a pit. Maybe you're going
Right.
to get fired, but you're going to be fine, right? Like you turn around, you got your plan, you can execute it. I just think gives you a lot more confidence in your current job if you have those kinds of
You
services.
just nailed something. I think it's about looking the part that you want before you get it.
Yes.
And a really great example of that is one of our clients, Andrew. Again, one of my LinkedIn recommendations. He came to us when he was this controller at Under Armour years and years ago, and that document carried him to his next job, and then ultimately to now he's the CFO of Foot Locker. So, we didn't. It was there for when the
Right.
opportunity showed up. Like he was already ready. He looked the part before it happened, and you didn't have to scramble and get it all done. And so it's about looking the part before you need it. And the other phenomenon that I'm seeing in the last 6 months that's been validated by some talent management and HR people that I've spoken to, some have hired us, is when as they're going through the roster of who's to lay off and who not, like there's now a thing of like, how is that message going to be managed? Because now people are posting about their layoffs,
Yeah,
right? There's all this
that's true.
outpouring about it. Is the public going to look at us like we're crazy that we let so and so go because they look so amazing online?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
Or have you
great point.
ignored your profile for the last 5 years that we're actually going to look like we got rid of some dead weight? Which I sounds heartless, but I'm just saying this in a complete business analysis kind of way.
Yeah.
Right? People
Yeah.
are always most valuable, but like, are they worried about you putting up a message that you're laid off or not? So the key is to just look retainable.
Yeah.
You know, like that's even a thing now. You should look the part. Make them have a second guess of like, well, I don't want so and so putting up the message, but I don't really care if so and so puts up the message.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's a thing now.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I hadn't thought about that, but I have, we all have seen the number of these postings, and some of them that has been my thought. I'm like, wow, this person is really
There you
articulate,
go.
is well said. Like maybe I'm gonna hire them, right?
And it's,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
And clearly it's not the only reason to choose somebody to stay
Oh,
or to
sure.
go. It's
Oh,
but I
sure.
mean, message management is a thing when they're doing these layoffs,
Yeah.
and this is one piece of it. You know,
Yeah.
how can this one go off the rails and it's going to make us really look bad, or is this going to be a
Right.
non-issue?
Right.
What's
Right.
the risk?
Yeah. No, I think that's a fascinating. I hadn't thought about that, but we're the age of social media. I mean, we've been in it for a while, but now it seems to be on steroids. So
Right.
anyway, I need to work on my TikTok dance. I guess I don't know.
That's really funny.
My kids have expressly forbidden me from even to think I've joked about. They're like, no, Dad,
Yeah, I think my
I'm
kids would be
leaving.
like, no, I think I'd rather eat, you know.
Right, right. I'll eat the Brussels sprouts. I'll eat the Brussels sprouts.
and,
Don't do the TikTok dance.
right.
Well, Lisa, I really appreciate you joining me. This has been fascinating. We'll put all your stuff in the show notes for people to find you. Like I said, I think your LinkedIn. I enjoyed following you on LinkedIn. All your stuff you post there. So, again, thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.